All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. As today we talk about what John Lynch said as he stopped by this morning on KNBR Radio. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And we should also tell you this entire 49er football season is presented on the Krug Show by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use the promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, John Lynch stopped by today with Murph and Marcus on the KNBR Morning Show in his regular Thursday spot. And there were a lot of interesting things that came out of this today. Why don't we start with the main one? We'll keep the main thing the main thing. No, they're all the main thing these days. But John Lynch said there have been no setbacks with Brandon Aiyuk, but that his return is, quote, not close. Now, I have to start with this because I've been saying all off season, really since the injury, that this guy's going to be out. This was not just an ACL. This is an ACL, an MCL, a meniscus. It's a three-parter. He hurt it in week 7. Anybody who thought he was coming back before week 7, either they're not paying attention, they don't understand the nature of the injury. There were people that literally were putting their name to it that Brandon Aiyuk could return in week 1. And when I shouted that down and said, that is just asinine, absolutely crazy, people are, you're so negative. Okay. No, I'm not negative. I just know the timeline of an ACL is about a year, and this guy had an ACL, an MCL, and a meniscus. So it was never going to be a year. It was always going to be more than a year. So I've been saying this entire offseason, hey, you know what? You're not going to see Aiyuk until Thanksgiving. You're not going to see Aiyuk till week 10. It's going to be late in the year. Right now, I would say the odds are you may not see Aiyuk at all. He may not play at all this year. I think that was a whole lot more, the possibility of him missing the whole year was a whole lot better than the possibility that he would have returned and played in week 1. It's just crazy. I don't know why anybody would have gone with that week 1. It's like he was hurt in week 7. It's a major injury. Year plus rehab. Week 1, really? I said week 10 just because I didn't want to say he's out for the year. But if you ask me right now, I'd probably say he's probably close to out for the year. It's week 4 tonight. All right. He's nowhere close to returning. He's not putting on pads. He's not practicing. He's not doing anything. He's nothing close to that. An occasional sprint in sweats on the sideline is not, you're on the verge of returning as an NFL wide receiver. Just all of the stop and the start and the change of direction. You have to be beyond healthy. You have to be strong in the knees and ankles. And he's not even healthy yet, let alone strong. So I'll stay with what I said. It's week 4. There's nowhere near. Sounds about right. That would be a month and a half off. I bet you I'm wrong. I bet you he's not there week 10. But week 10 was about as spot on a prediction as anybody had, basically. And it's showing right now. It's week 4. He's not close to returning. Figure he's got to be at least a month off. So that would be week 8. But I think he's probably more like 2 months off, which would be like week 12. And that's kind of where I thought he would return. Right around, week 10, 11, 12 in the turn for home. I thought that's when Aiyuk potentially could get back on the field. And that's if there's no setbacks. When you really factor in the investment that the Niners have in this receiver, shut him down. Shut him down. If anything, you want to be a little bit more circumspect about his return than trying to rush it. If he says he's ready in 10 weeks, give him another couple weeks. If he says he's ready in 12 weeks, give him a couple extra weeks. That's always been my mindset. I mean, not that there's nothing on the line. You got a lot on the line this year, but you also have that kid's career in your hands. And if he re-injures it, I mean, his career is in doubt. Now he's already gotten paid, but so what? Do you care about Brandon Aiyuk and his career? I do. I think the Niners probably do. So do not rush this guy back. I would say week 10, week 11, week 12, week 13, somewhere in there is probably the good target. But even then, if he's not ready, he's not ready. Do not rush this kid back. Do not force him onto the football field. Do not ask him to put his career on the line for the greatness of the Niners or whatever. I mean, I hope that doesn't come to that. But once again, the week one people, how you feeling? How you feeling, week one people? John Lynch said other things besides Brandon Aiyuk. He talked about Nick Bosa's injury. He said, my heart just goes out to Nick. It's a crushing blow to our team. That's what this sport is. One player won't make up for Nick Bosa. We're going to have to do it collectively. Yeah, I mean, there's no question. But just because one player won't make up for Nick Bosa doesn't mean that you shouldn't go get one more player. You know, if you're using that as an excuse for inactivity, wrong. So yeah, you're right. He's right. You're not going to be able to, unless you get Trey Hendrickson, there probably is not one player that you could plug in that would come anywhere close to Nick Bosa, which is why I'm kind of an advocate of adding two guys, maybe three. You know, maybe pick somebody off a practice squad. I suggested Mo Kamara came on Rucker. Kamara's with Tampa, Rucker's with Baltimore. Both good rushers, both a little undersized, but both really good rushers. 1 year out of 2 years out of college for Kamara, 1 year for Rucker. Really good players. Kamara at Colorado State, Rucker at North Carolina. That's the route I'd go. I'd go for a practice squad guy up front. And maybe even sign a veteran. You know, you can get Carl Lawson if you want. There's a couple other guys out there. And then just see where you're at. You know, promote your Travis Gibsons and your Beal, Robert Beal Jr. and maybe sign somebody off a practice squad, maybe sign somebody off the street. You know, take a look for the next 3-4 weeks at your free options. And then if your free options aren't good, but you're still winning games, then go see if you can make a trade. And there's a bunch of teams that have multiple defensive ends that could help the Niners. So they're not cooked. They're not going to find a Nick Bosa, but they're not cooked. They're not cooked. Lynch also weighed in on Upton Stout's huge game-winning pass breakup late in the game against the Cardinals. It was a great play by Upton Stout, man. I mean, that was an absolute catch until Stout got his hand in there and just said, no, not going to be a catch. I'm going to fight you for it. And Lynch said, it wasn't looking really good. We got them to 3rd and 9, and Upton Stout did what he's done since day one out here, which was finish the play. Yeah. It's a great play by Upton Stout. Great play. John Lynch talked a little bit about, the possibility of making a trade, of adding a player via the trade route. He said, of course, we're always looking. That's our job. We're not afraid, and we've been effective in doing that. This is no different. I do think we're a deep group there, and that depth's going to be tested. We'll see what's out there at the appropriate time. So that's the right answer. That's the right answer. He feels good about Beal. He feels good about, Travis Gibson. I'm sure he should. Travis Gibson's on the Niners practice squad. He has a 7.5 sack season in the NFL. Robert Beal is 6'4", 260, and runs in the 4.4s. It's not like the cupboard is bare. It's not like they got nothing. It's not like they're sitting there going, oh, we'll just throw Kruger out there. It ain't a dire situation like that. They got guys, but those guys aren't Nick Bosa. And there are no real good free agents. But there are some interesting practice squad guys that could be plucked. And there are a number of interesting trade candidates. And we'll see what that price tag looks like. The nice thing is there's so many teams out there. The Saints, the Jets, the Giants, the Dolphins. There's a lot of teams out there that don't look really good, but do have edge rushers. Carolina, the Raiders, all these teams that aren't going to the playoffs. I mean, right now it's week 4. If you call up any team right now and want to trade for their guys, they're going to take it as an insult. But if you give it 3 or 4 weeks, suddenly it's not an insult. Now, though, they're taking those calls and they're happy to take them. So there'll be options in the trade market for sure. But I think Lynch said the right thing there, which is, hey, look, I mean, John Lynch, you could argue, has popularized the midseason trade. I mean, nobody has taken advantage more, I would say, of the midseason trade than John Lynch. The drafting's been ordinary. It's been good on day 3. It's been, not very good on day 1 and day 2. What saved the Niners is John Lynch's trades. Trent Williams for nothing. CMC for very little. And then the small trades, the Charles Menahues, the Jordan Willises, the Emmanuel Sanderses. These trades have helped the Niners, and they've been a consistent winner. And I think he's popularized the midseason trade. And because of it, there'll be more competition, right? Because it's a copycat league and everybody copies the teams that win. And the Niners have made trades and won. And so people are like, yeah, let's make trades. They're doing it. They're winning. So there'll be other bidders, but there's also going to be a lot of sellers and a number of sellers that have defensive ends. And so I think the price should be somewhat reasonable. Niners are not. First of all, let's just all this talk about, well, if they just trade their number one, the number one is earmarked for Trent Williams' replacement. Okay. It was probably earmarked this year for Trent Williams' replacement, and they just didn't do it because they just didn't have that guy there. And that D-line took priority. They will push off the offensive tackle no longer. They will solve their offensive tackle. They will try to solve their offensive tackle position in round 1 of next year's NFL draft. I would absolutely bank on it. So that kid World from Oregon, who's a top-rated tackle. There's some good tackles around college football. Niners will be kicking tires on all of them. But I think they're not going to trade their number 1 pick. I think they've got that earmarked for their future left tackle. So even if Trey Hendrickson's available, I think the Niners will stop short of including their 2026 first-round draft choice. Lynch told KMBR as well this morning that Nick Bosa will have his ACL reconstruction surgery on Friday. And then the plan is for Bosa to be around the team and to try to coach up some of those young guys. And that's great. That's great news because he's a terrific, knowledgeable guy when it comes to D-line techniques. And why not? Why not? Lynch also talked about Mikael Williams, and he's got to be thrilled with Mikael Williams because the Niners have struggled to hit in the first round, but they hit on this kid. And he says, I think Mikael Williams is going to be a fantastic player. He's just scratching the surface of how effective and dominant of a player he can be. So there you go. John Lynch very puffing at his chest because he made that selection of Mikael Williams and even considered trading up for him. And now that pick 3 weeks in looks really, really good. And then on George Kittle, he weighed in as well. He said, George is doing really well. He's putting in a lot of really good work. The presence he has is really unique and special. I agree with that. It's killing him not to be out there. Yeah, no doubt. And I talked to Tonjes in the locker room yesterday, and Tonjes said, hey, George will be back. George will be back, and he'll be back pretty soon. So, but there's no doubt the Niners have a different kind of swagger when George Kittle's on the field. You can feel it. With his presence, they have a different vibe, a different swagger. Without him, they miss it. They really miss that. They miss his physicality. They miss his strut. They miss his confidence. They miss his blocking. They miss his receiving. They miss his red zone work. I mean, they miss George. this just in. They missed George. All right, there you go. That's the long and the short of John Lynch on KMBR. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sleeper for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.